This is a relief to Tesla stock investors. Let's go through all Tesla news as well as Doge news. Elon Musk will withdraw his bid for OpenAI's nonprofit arm. So that's definitely a relief, but there is one caveat, and that is for OpenAI to stay as a nonprofit. And I think that outcome is quite likely because Sam Altman definitely does not want OpenAI to fall under Elon Musk's control, so I don't think that he will actually keep pursuing this idea to turn OpenAI into a completely 100% for-profit company. Now, if OpenAI chooses to make itself a for-profit and if there's no interference from outside, this process could still actually take 2 years. So while this is definitely a huge relief to us Tesla stock investors, I would not completely write off the possibility of Sam Altman still pursuing this goal of his to convert OpenAI into a for-profit, because when asked how seriously Sam Altman is taking Elon's bid, he replied with, "Not particularly." And maybe he's thinking that Elon Musk is bluffing with his offer. I personally definitely don't think that Elon Musk is bluffing, but Sam Altman might think so, and if he does, he will still pursue the for-profit structure, which would result in his demise and a huge buying opportunity for us Tesla stock investors to buy more Tesla stock, because probably Elon would sell Tesla stock. But I think that possibility has now become so much less likely. And for now, realistically speaking, I'm not worried about Elon Musk selling a lot of Tesla stock to buy OpenAI. And this is definitely great news for us Tesla stock investors. This legendary investor and billionaire, Ray Dalio, just initiated officially a new Tesla stock position, which is a $62 million stake. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because Bridgewater Associates, which is run by Ray Dalio, it is the biggest hedge fund in the world. And Tesla stock investors, of course, are celebrating this news, and Omar is calling Ray Dalio a smart guy. But there's more good news, and Ives is expecting that Tesla is indeed gearing up for a new mass market vehicle. And he reiterated his 12-month $550 price target for Tesla stock. He says that while it was a huge win for Elon Musk to back Trump and then Trump winning the election, Elon's influence in the Trump administration and the broadening DOGE initiative has some visible downside impact that has weighed on Tesla shares. The worry of the street is that Musk is dedicating so much time, even more than we expected, to DOGE, takes away from his time at Tesla. It's such a crucial moment and year for the company. The autonomous and robotics battle for market share is in full force both in the US and China, and many on the street view Musk spending 100% of his time with DOGE as creating a negative perception around his Tesla focus. Elon Musk has told people close to him that he will spend the next 4 months working 24/7 on DOGE to cut up to $2 trillion from the federal budget. So supposedly Elon is going all in and he even sleeps in his White House office, according to Fox Business. And what does this mean for us Tesla stock investors? Well, Dylan Loomis has a good point here. Tesla will, of course, survive. So everyone relax, please. Elon can do this type of thing because he knows Tesla is in great hands and on track to deliver huge things in the next 3+ years. Also, typically Elon Musk dedicates his time to wherever the biggest crisis is, and if something bad does happen, he will definitely refocus all of his attention back to Tesla until the problem is solved. And right now, at this moment, there's no crisis at Tesla. And then Ives says here, Musk has always been able to balance his countless initiatives better than any other CEO we have seen, and the innovation and tech machine at Tesla is actually accelerating into an autonomous and robotics future despite growing skepticism around Musk's DOGE balancing act. For as long as Tesla and Elon Musk have been around, Elon Musk has always been told, oh, you cannot do this many things, and he's like, no, I'm going to do this new thing, and then he succeeds. And then later, the same thing happens again. But now you got too much on your plate, so now it will not work. And then he just makes it work. It just happens over and over and over again, and the critics just have not learned from their lessons. At this point, you would think they would start to realize, maybe he can actually handle a lot more than we previously thought possible. Dan Ives continues. Musk's DOGE-related actions and more powerful alliance with Trump clearly could alienate some consumers to move away from the Tesla brand. There is some momentum around this effort in Europe and pockets of the US as well, since November, of course. That said, we view this as containable brand issues for Tesla for now. that are not a major cause for concern. The holy grail for Tesla and Musk is around autonomous and FSD. There have been choppy delivery numbers out of the gate for Tesla, but this is only a month into 2025 where we expect to see modest delivery growth return to the Tesla story, especially with a cheaper model on the horizon. And overall, Ives believes that Tesla is worth $2 trillion, not including Optimus. However, I'm convinced that we can safely count on Ives to massively increase Tesla's stock price targets the moment Tesla makes FSD safer than human driving. I think it will be a lot more than just $550 per share. I believe his price target in that case could quickly escalate to $1,000 per share. And this is how quickly Ives can change his price targets. Just last June, his bull case for Tesla was $350, and now it's actually $650, so about a doubling. And look, there's a good reason to be bullish on Tesla. The CEO of Uber says no one wants to compete against Tesla. He just said this. He openly admits that Tesla is his biggest problem/competitor. Tesla's and Elon's capabilities are pretty extraordinary, he says, but I think the same economic laws apply to them. And this is where he has definitely the wrong idea. If Tesla puts their cars on our network, we already have 150,000 drivers who are driving Teslas, and if they get FSD, they'd love to plug it into Uber as well, but Tesla is not going to allow FSD to be used unsupervised with Uber. And look, hope is actually his strategy. He says, we're hoping that my charm and the economic argument gets Tesla to work with us as well. If they want a direct channel, no problem. But why would Tesla put their cars on Uber's network when all they have to do is point the same drivers to their cars on the Tesla network instead? Why give Uber a fully redundant market? Tesla is not going to do this. And the counter argument to that is, why would Tesla drivers move from the most popular ride-sharing app to one with no users? Well, it's because Tesla can run this campaign. Download the Tesla app and get a self-driving car for 25% less than Uber. And really, they can go with a lot less than 25%. They can say it's going to be 40% cheaper. And if you look at Tesla's DNA, Tesla does have a tendency to undercut its competitors significantly because Tesla's margins are the best in the business for the quality that they provide. But the difference is, in the auto business, we still have gasoline cars and we have extremely cheap BEVs in China, and Tesla just hasn't entered all of these cheaper segments yet. So people do have other cheaper choices, but if they want the same quality for the price, Tesla by far is the best value proposition. But with robo-taxis, Tesla will actually be the cheapest option available. Not just the best value for money, but the cheapest option available. And look, Uber's CEO is a great CEO. However, he is definitely going to be trying to surf a tsunami. Anyway, Uber CEO has a prediction, and he thinks that 10 years from now, every single new car sold is going to come with some kind of FSD software. If that statement is true, I believe that software is going to be made by Tesla. And as anticipated, Elon Musk finally met with the Prime Minister of India, and they discussed such things as space mobility, which should include Tesla, technology, and innovation. I think largely they probably discussed SpaceX. And Elon had 3 of his kids with him. My dad is not a millionaire, but from the age of about 9, any business meeting that I wanted to go with together with my dad, he actually took me to them, and he took me to most of them. So I think actually that was very helpful to me to be really good at business. And these kids definitely have a bright future ahead of them just because of that. I'm primarily focused on FSD with Tesla, but I think it is good to set expectations for deliveries. Troy has been pretty good at estimating deliveries, and he wants to clear up some confusion. Elon previously mentioned a 20 to 30% delivery growth target for this year, but since he didn't repeat it in the last earnings call, it's no longer considered a target. Instead, Tesla specifically said in their shareholder deck, we expect the vehicle business to return to growth in 2025. However, Troy actually expects a decline this year, and he expects that most analysts will estimate the same once we have the Q1 delivery number on April 2nd, and he expects that number to be quite low. We actually had significant growth in China this last year, but the sales in other places were lower. So Troy says that last year, the increase in China wasn't enough to offset the decline in the US and Europe, and he expects the same trend to continue this year, but it will likely get worse. However, Troy does not expect the new, cheaper, affordable models to be actually new vehicles. He expects that these are just going to be tweaks on the Model 3 and the Model Y rather than completely new vehicles. And that's why he expects the sales not to do as well. My personal opinion is that it makes absolutely no sense for Tesla or Elon Musk to tell everyone that Tesla indeed is going to definitely have a completely different vehicle from Model 3 or Model Y, because if he does that, that will Osborne the sales of the Model 3 or Model Y. So I think the best strategy is for Elon to not say anything, which is why I think he has been quite vague about all things related to this newer, cheaper vehicle. And even if Troy does turn out to be completely right about this, I wouldn't care much about this anyway, because I'm just focused on FSD, and once FSD is safer than human driving, nothing else really is going to matter that much anymore. Except for one thing, the bot. The bot is still going to matter in the future, because that alone could be quite a bit bigger than FSD, but I'm just focused on FSD right now. Now, for the first time, yeah, actually seeing traces of Tesla's robotaxi software code. The first endpoint implemented is a feedback screen that allows users to rate the cleanliness of the vehicle and upload photos. Guys, do you remember James Dalio? Most of you, of course, will know him. He's so popular among the Tesla FSD crowd, and he just said something that has to be one of the most bullish things I've heard him say. He just got this new FSD version 13.2.7, and he says that it is indistinguishable from magic. I'm not going to read this exactly how he wrote it, but let's just say that he thinks it's freaking amazing. And I personally also tried this version just now, and I love it. It's definitely quite good. If you spend more than 15 minutes driving every single day and you have no FSD, you're missing out big time. And it's only going to get better from here. However, someone says it's a regression for him, but he made a few posts and it's nowhere near as bad as it looks. The software now is actually more human-like. And what FSD did here, you're not supposed to do it, but was it actually dangerous? So FSD completely blew through a red light to make a right turn onto a highway. Never happened in prior versions, he says. And for my friends not from the US, it's actually completely legal to make a right turn on a red light. However, technically you are supposed to stop first. But here's something very important. There are no cars or immediate danger, so I let it go to see what it would do, as it never ran this light before. There are a few more details that emerge as he reviewed the saved dash cam footage. There was a car about 100 feet in front of him which ran the red light to make the right turn. So FSD probably just figured out it was okay to follow the path, but also FSD has multiple cameras watching in every direction, making sure that indeed there is no danger. And he admits it's almost like he determined it was safe to go, even though not legal. But he then elaborates that it was dangerous because it's a fast highway turning onto with traffic. I assume his ability was great in this case, and if that was the case, then I'm not really concerned about this, because you can see everything, even though cars are going fast. So while this move was definitely not okay, was it dangerous? That's the question here, really. Based on the limited information that we have, I assume it was safe, although definitely not legal, which makes it definitely not okay. But FSD mimics human behavior, and there was literally a driver in front of this Tesla vehicle making this exact same maneuver. And this is a bit, let's call it interesting. Comma, which is another company that's trying to solve full self-driving. You can now use their software in a Tesla. I don't think this is allowed by Tesla, probably not, but you can use it. We are starting to see more posts like this one. We are so used to seeing posts like, oh, I just had a 10-minute no intervention drive. Okay, we're so used to that. But these 10 minutes are now turning into 1 hour, 45 minutes in this case, for example, where he drove for this long without any disengagements perfectly. Not only were there no disengagements, but the following distance was maintained properly, and on top of that, it was actually even raining and everything was just smooth. Tesla just activated cabin radar after 3 years, and it offers free replacements for some vehicles. This cabin radar can detect which seats are occupied. The cabin radar is only available for vehicles built from 2022 and later. This news is making headlines and is drawing a lot of criticism. The US government may award Tesla a $400 million contract for armored EVs. Now, this was actually approved under the Biden administration, so it has nothing to do with Elon Musk. And the program has a target for delivery in Q4 through the next 5 years. The government website says that the list was updated in December, so that's before Trump entered office. And the State Department says that Tesla was the only company that expressed interest back in May of 2024 when Joe Biden was president. And Tesla actually already received $42 million from the US government, including payment for vehicles provided to some US embassies. And while a US State Department spokesperson says they were in talks with Tesla in 2024 to buy armored vehicles, the plans are actually on hold. So it all makes sense now why Elon says, I'm pretty sure Tesla isn't getting $400 million. No one mentioned it to me, at least. But you gotta admit, it would be really cool to see Cybertrucks being used by the US government. And this is outrageous. Rachel Maddow led her show with a hit piece against the Cybertruck and Elon, suggesting the proposed $400 million for armored Teslas was an example of self-dealing. Of course, she conveniently left out the detail that this was revised back in December of 2024 while Biden was still president. And because Rachel entirely left out this important context, many of her 1.7 million nightly viewers will believe her misleading narrative. While looking from September 2023, her viewership is on the decline. It's still a lot of viewers. People like Rachel Maddow that spew nonsense like this that's obviously a lie is what is killing the legacy media, and that's what's giving independent content creators a huge opportunity. There's some news from Tesla here. If you want to lease a Model 3, right now is a good time to do it because the special promotion that Tesla is doing, which makes the price of the Model 3 just $249. That will end on March 3rd, so hurry up. Oh, this is amazing. Tesla just started installing new anti-theft devices on Supercharger cables. So as you can see, it makes the whole thing look a little bit different. And the moment you cut it, you are going to be a blue man. This is definitely good news for Elon. Apple has resumed advertising on X, so that will make it more profitable faster.
Bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight.
This was an actual California congressman calling for people to bring weapons to fight against Elon Musk. This is definitely going too far, and we need to carefully track this situation. So I personally think that following Doge news is actually extremely important for all of us Tesla stock investors, and any political news really related to Elon Musk I think are extremely relevant to us Tesla stock investors because now literally his safety is actually being threatened. We're not talking about some random lunatic calling for people to use weapons. We are talking about someone in the US government, an actual congressman calling for people to have weapons and fight against Elon Musk. By the way, if anyone made a similar remark here on YouTube, they would probably get demonetized and possibly permanently banned because you're basically inciting violence and that is not allowed. And Elon Musk currently is really frustrated with judges. If any judge anywhere can stop every presidential action everywhere, we do not live in a democracy. And a judge literally previously blocked the plan allowing federal workers to resign with 8 months pay. And over 70,000 employees have already agreed to that deal. However, luckily, federal worker buyouts now are allowed to proceed. Elon Musk is making some big accusations here that will definitely infuriate the left. Reuters was literally paid by the federal government for a large-scale social deception, he says. That's literally what it says on the official government documents. Reuters published this article, Musk's DOGE cuts based more on political ideology than real cost savings so far. To which Elon responded with, I wonder how much money Reuters is getting from the government. Let's find out. And we found out. The government paid Reuters $9 million for a social engineering program. This was revealed by DOGE investigations. There was a large-scale social deception project between 2018 to 2022. It was claimed that this was for cyber defense, but questions swirl about why a news agency received millions for social engineering. Elon elaborates that we still haven't discovered just how much the media was paid and controlled by the government, but he pledges that we will. And this is actually a very important post from Elon Musk. The White House now has tech support. The Matrix is being reprogrammed to make success one of the possible outcomes. They did not expect this. And Elon here quoted this post, which is a direct quote from Joe Lonsdale, who is a co-founder of Palantir, which explains why Elon Musk's Doge team cannot be stopped. I have mentors in the Reagan administration who came in looking for government waste, says the Palantir co-founder. He continues here, those people were not technical. When they went to the bureaucracy, they asked questions. And there were so many ways of obscuring and blocking and deterring. And that's why it didn't really work. But Elon got root access and he went to the tech systems themselves. No one has done this before. No president had ever had tech people around him. They went to the systems and they started finding things like, my goodness. And these people who work for the agencies tried to confront Elon and the Doge team and say no, but they were not able to. So there's no way to actually trick Elon. There's no way to obscure him because Elon can see everything. And Elon made a big statement here. A second American revolution is needed to free the people from their oppression by the bureaucracy. This is a direct Elon Musk quote from when he was at the White House. If you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, what we have is this unelected fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has in a lot of ways currently more power than any elected representative, says Elon Musk. And that is why he's calling for a second American revolution, which is needed to free the people from their oppression by the bureaucracy. And what you're looking at here is the official website of Doge. This has just been launched and this greatly increases transparency. Currently, the US government has 2.2 million people, 16,000 subordinate offices, and $211 billion in wages. And how many people do you think make more than $100,000 a year working for the government? It's actually about 1 million people. Double check this. It's true. The average employee at the government has worked at the government for more than 10 years, and the average employee is 47 years old. We also made this chart, Unconstitutionality Index 18.5. This is the number of agency rules created by unelected bureaucrats for each law passed by Congress in 2024. And that number has basically always stayed roughly similar. And the Code of Federal Regulations has almost 100 million total words. And let's assume that there are 200 words per one page. You would have 500,000 pages. And here you can also see savings that Doge has created and receipts, they say, are coming soon, no later than Valentine's Day, which is today. Ooh, and this will definitely put a bigger target on Elon's back. It's almost like there's a massive uniparty grift machine here in Washington, D.C., says Elon Musk. And the following will also put a bigger target on Elon's back. He says the Democrats are importing voters. It is very important to understand that they really are doing this at scale. It is fact, not rhetoric. And he attached this screenshot to his post from the New York Times. New York moves to allow 800,000 non-citizens to vote in local elections. You do need to be a legal resident, but you do not have to be a citizen. Here's another attack against Elon Musk from a US senator. Elon Musk fires back at him, and this senator got really embarrassed. Check this out. $300 million worth of medications are sitting on pallets about to expire thanks to Trump's effort to gut foreign aid. These are to be sent to East Africa. Elon Musk called the senator a liar because if you just zoom into the picture that the senator himself posted, you will see that the expiry date is actually 2027. I am literally not kidding. This is the post from the senator. Now, I cannot see anything on the other boxes because the resolution is too low, but it is a very bad look for the senator. Now, let's assume that some of these are actually expiring, but the fastest container shipping route from the US to South Africa is 25 days, and adding in the time to distribute the medicine in South Africa, they needed to be shipped months ago to be used before expiration, so they are not expiring because of a recent executive order. Oh, and someone actually was able to find one of the boxes and zoom in, and this is actually 2024 January 1st is what this seems like to me, and other people agree. So if it's actually 2024, that box was already expired a year ago. The Department of Education terminated grants to the 4 equity assistance centers totaling $33 million. One provided professional learning around critical race theory and racial literacy. And Elon explains that he has had a top secret clearance for many years and have clearances that themselves are classified. That said, far too much information is is made classified. If something is easily found online or patently obvious, it should not be classified. This impedes effective communication within the government. And it has now been confirmed by more sources that indeed Elon Musk has been sleeping on the floor of his government office across from the White House. This is just insane. It is astounding how much taxpayer money can be saved with even a small amount of effort, says Elon, because $1.9 billion of HUD money was just recovered after being misplaced. $2 billion were misplaced during the Biden administration due to a broken process. These funds were earmarked for the administration of financial services, but were no longer needed. We are not talking about a small, tiny amount of money. We're talking about $2 billion basically being misplaced. Wow. Imagine that Ray Dalio, who just bought Tesla stock, misplaced $2 billion in his hedge fund. That would be impossible, even though Ray Dalio's hedge fund is the biggest in the world. If any money is misplaced in that fund, all of that money should be allocated to buy more Tesla stock, just like what he just did. And in the long term, I believe that this is a Tesla stock buying opportunity. And while I do have a higher income, which makes it easier to buy more Tesla stock for me, I know many of you do not. However, if you have been watching my channel for the last 14 months and you watched every single video, you will remember me saying that my younger brothers are asking me about money. They are still in high school, but they want to know everything about making money. And I said that I would be hosting an event during which I will share everything I know about making money. And this way I will not just be sharing the information with my brothers, but also a few of you will be able to benefit from that too. The event will be in Houston, Texas this May on May 3rd and 4th. And a link to sign up for that event will be available on Monday. So make sure to watch the Monday's video if you are interested in that. And of course, I believe that Tesla stock is going to $1,000 for sure. And after that, well above it. My name is Maddow, and I will see you in the next video, probably on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. And happy Valentine's, everyone.